James Scott is transferring from Louisville to seem to come, I'm going to guess, right at the deadline before the portal closed, given that it was announced or news broke Wednesday morning. Portal closed Tuesday night. This is, I think, a significant note given the fact that Scott started for Louisville last year and was a pretty solid piece for them on the interior as they made their run to the ACC tournament title game, made the NCAA tournament, Pat Kelsey's first season. Now he's leaving. I think there are multiple layers to this that we'll get into, but just James Scott, the player, how big of a loss is this for Louisville, and what do you think his market could look like?
That's a great question. It's one of those moves that, I don't know if it really makes sense on the surface because to me, the first place my mind goes to is the big man market is scarce. So someone will throw crazy money at James Scott. Like, who are the best available centers right now off the top of your head?
Van Allen Lubin.
Josh Jamuna, James Scott. Like, is that's the big three that's available
Yeah.
right now. Like those dudes, and I think it seems like there's teams that still have crazy money to spend to where he can get a payday here. It's just like for Louisville, they seem like one of those teams that essentially has a limitless budget to where I would have expected them to work something out. And it's just, I would say he's replacement level is probably a bridge too far or like a little bit harsh for the role he fits, but I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything special about his game, but he is a perfect fit for a guard heavy roster. He's a play finisher type, rim runner, rim protector, savant, good rebounder. And yet that's a little bit of, yeah, that's pretty much all he gives you. And even looking at the numbers, he made 108 field goals last year, 79 of them were dunks. Made one single three, which actually surprised me. That was one more than I thought he made. But 79 of his 108 made field goals were dunks. That's kind of what he's in there to do. And when you look at this roster of guards who are going to space the floor and create off the bounce, who can pass, it seems like a good fit for him to again star in his role. But maybe he's looking to expand his game a little bit or looking for it doesn't really make sense to me why he waited this long unless Louisville's just like we love this Sananda Fu kid and he's about to get all the front court minutes or something.
One thing happened yesterday, too, on Tuesday that I think is worth noting where Kason Pryor announced he was coming back. Given the fact you spent a lot of money to bring in Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, Adrian Woolley, and Michael Brown as well, you're probably playing three of those guys in your starting lineup, or you're
Mm-hmm.
going smaller, playing three of those. Javon Hadley is back as well. So Pryor's sliding into the starting lineup. Pryor's not coming back to come off the bench, right? Probably puts Scott on the bench. And with Khalifa being healthy going to play this year, that's going to get him some playing time. I don't know if Frew is going to play significant minutes, but somebody else who could potentially cut into your playing time. Like to me, this was a playing time move. I think he's
Yeah.
somebody who's proved he could be a valuable starter at the power conference level for a good team. At the power conference level, saw his playing time was going to get cut. Also saw the lack of big men available, the amount of money that people are going to have to spend, and decided to hit, which I don't blame him for that. I'm also not docking Louisville a ton the fact that he's not there anymore because of the replacements that we just talked about.
I guess that's true. I mean, Frew's highlight tape is nasty, so if he translates, he could be. I mean, he looks like at least just in watching highlights. I haven't like dove into Sananda Frew like full game tape to really break it down, but he looks like the superior talent to Scott. So maybe he sees the writing on the wall there. I don't know, man. I'm just like, even when you look at these highly touted guys, the ones who are going to be lottery picks with Yegor Demon and Kasparis Yakashonis, like those guys had ups and downs in the season. I think I mean, I'm a huge Demon guy. Like, I think he'll be a stud in the NBA, but it's not a lock that these even the best of the best international players are going to be immediate success stories. Like someone like Samet Yigitoglu at SMU, I had really high expectations for him going into the year. I would say he underachieved a little bit. Or the other Croatian dude who's on BYU, Boskovic. Not gonna butcher his first name, but like he was another one you watch the highlights going into the season. It's like this dude's gonna be a legit rotation piece for the Cougs, and he wasn't even like playing big minutes down the stretch to where it still feels like it's not like you're taking a chance on a Day Mara who couldn't crack the rotation as a freshman and looked physically overmatched because a lot of these European guys are older and they have like legit pro experience. So I get there's a difference with that. but it also still feels like a gamble to make it a 1-for-1 production jump to where even if I think Frew looks like he could steal that starting job for Scott, Scott still would have had a big role had he come back to Louisville. And I think that's what I keep coming back to for just a little bit of where I'm not sure it entirely makes sense from an on-court perspective. But again, like if NC State, who I know is like the rumored front runner right now, if they're throwing him high seven-figure offers, and that's more than Louisville was going to do, and there's no one who's going to push him for that starting five job, it kind of makes sense.
We interrupt this sleepers video to tell you about an offer from Underdog Fantasy. Cart, you love Underdog Fantasy, correct?
Of course I do. Can I have a moment real quick?
Please. Thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to cut you off because our listeners like when we keep these short and sweet. Underdog Fantasy. Sign up as a new user. Use promo code SLEEPERS. Get bonus funds up to $1,000, 50% of your deposit match. The NBA playoffs are rocking right now. I played Underdog last week with a Cade Cunningham line. I'm looking forward to doing it throughout the entire first round of the NBA playoffs, but there's more. You can place picks on golf. You can place picks on baseball. You can place picks on the NHL playoffs that are rocking right now. Join Underdog Fantasy, promo code SLEEPERS. Support this show so that we can keep bringing videos to you. Back to the video.
Yeah, and NC State needs a roster. They need to fill out a roster. They need big men. That makes sense. I think, too, he averaged just over 23 minutes per game last season. It's the same amount that Pryor averaged, roughly. And again, I think Pryor's eating up a lot of those minutes because Pryor was, we think about Louisville now, postseason is like, oh, this was the Chucky Hepburn show and Terrence Edwards and the guard play and all of that. The first 6, 7 games of the year when Pryor was healthy, this was the case in Pryor show. Like he was option 1, option 1B, option 2. I don't expect him to become option 5 all of a sudden now.
My hot take is for Louisville to live up to their top five billing, case and Pryor needs to be option five. I think this like just go back to what I was a huge fan of his at USF, and we don't have to like go too much off on this because I see how if you're looking at if Pryor's assuming he's getting a bigger role and with him and Frew, and I guess like you can slide Pryor down to the five, Frew can play the five. That might leave Scott out. I just think Scott would have had a role penciled in. He's the only dude who can block shots like that and the best rebounder of the group. And I just think the way what we saw prior last year, especially coming off a big injury, I'm not convinced that he's. I don't know. Like as I look at this, there's a chance that Frew and Scott would have started together. Just like the plan might be for Pryor to get the first crack at the lion's share of the minutes there, but there's no guarantee with him coming off the injury that he's going to return to form. I mean, this was a dude. I was just disappointed with him coming out of the stretch. He shot like 7 for 40 from three before his injury.
I think it's fair to say Louisville could use some of the things that Scott brought to the table. I that goes without saying, but I do think that he was probably playing closer to 15 minutes a night than 25.
I guess that's fair. I would say that's contingent on Case and Pryor, like those flashes that he showed in the first game of the year against Moorhead, for that being more of his MO than the dude who shot 0 for 5 from three against Tennessee and 1 for 5 from three against Oklahoma. I guess I don't want to be mean to him in that game. That was the one I think he got injured in. But yeah, I think there's still a little bit more I want to see out of Pryor.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm trying to rationalize this from Scott's point of view. Louisville's going to miss that. Guys are going to have to step up on the glass and rim protecting. But with Scott, you mentioned NC State as a rumor destination. Where else could he go? Like it's too early for there to be like a full list yet. But is it schools like NC State where they need bigs and need roster spots, or is there another kind of archetype or model that makes sense in your mind?
I mean, I would be looking for a place with a point guard that has someone to his game like Hepburn, just because, I mean, there were times this season where you could look down the stretch of Louisville season where it felt like anytime they wanted to get a lob to James Scott, they could. It would be Hepburn gets into the paint, collapses the defense, and Scott just rises above the back line of defense for a thundering dunk. So that would be, I don't know. I know UVA was is in pretty hard on Ugana and Yenzo. He's someone who I would say would be like kind of similar level, new coach with a little bit of stuff to him, and Ryan Odom, to where maybe he could find a role there. If he wanted to get out of the ACC, I'm like, are there any SEC teams that need a lob threat?
South Carolina could use one.
Well, sorry, Ralph. I need something something a little more fun than that.
I think Texas A&M, I think, could be interesting if he wants to play some Buckyball, because Bucky
Mhm.
that's another school that's trying to basically retool a roster with a new coach. That could be one that's interesting. Or Buzz Williams, Maryland too. I think could make some sense.
What about Texas Tech in the Fetty Federico role? Play him next to JT Toppin. I know Toppin played a lot of five down the stretch, but
Yeah, I like that, but I don't know. Again, you're coming into the playing time standpoint and the
Mhm.
role standpoint. I'm assuming that making this signals he wants a bigger role, or at least to maintain his role from the end of last year. I don't know if he gets that at Texas Tech.
he would be like a better Josh Jomino if he went to Baylor. Baylor's
Yeah,
got some guards, fun wings. That'd be a good fit. I'd be trying to do that if I was him.
yeah, there are plenty of options. Essentially, is what we're saying. Good options for James Scott, which tends to be the case when there's not a lot of bigs available and people still have money to spend. It's in a pretty good spot.